We're going to start the show off with a quick little apology for the audio issues that we had. There is some mic clipping from Uncle Jay's mic. We tried to fix it. We were aware of it. Not quite sure what we could have done, but I tried to clean up as much of it as I could. There's still some in here. Hopefully it's not too annoying. But this episode was full of such good stuff that I didn't want to not put it out there. So apologies for the weird audio clipping.
Nerd!
Within each and every role player lives this homeless character who wants nothing more than to quiet the heartbeat of every living thing that stands in his way. Today we celebrate this all too familiar character with...
Well now, looky here. It's the Murder Hobo Show.
Welcome to the Murder Hobo Show, Episode 3. Recorded September 12th, 2019. I'm one of your hosts, Gary, a.k.a. the Murder Hobo, and I'm here with the big man himself, my favorite uncle and bum toucher, Uncle J. Raz. What's going on, my man?
Not a whole lot there, Gary. What's going on, my favorite bum touch E?
Oh, wow. that's the category you're putting me in?
Well, you called me the bum toucher first.
Oh, all right.
So I figured you'd have to be the target.
Oh, I just thought you could be like a general bum toucher. Like, you know, we go to the mall and you touch bums and I just hang out with you even though you're not touching my bum.
Oh, okay. I see how that goes. So next time I will touch somebody else's bum instead of yours just because we're hanging out.
All right. Well, this has gone south right out of the gate. So this is a podcast about role-playing games where we ramble incoherently in a veiled attempt to sound like we know what we are talking about. In this episode, we are going to cover the age system, which I'm kind of actually looking forward to. Right?
Right. Not AIDS, but age system. This is AGE. Yep. We just wanted to clarify that for anybody, you know, in case you misinterpreted this. This is about the age system.
Yeah, I thought it might have been, you know how Canadians say a boot?
Yeah, right.
Maybe my age sounds like I'm saying AIDS.
With them getting older, I think I'm developing a lisp, so I kind of sound like if I say AIDS, it might come out like age or something like that too. So it's totally understandable if that's the case.
You know, that's what happens when you get old. Things stop working so much, right? Your lip is getting tired.
Yeah, and no, it's my teeth are falling out. That's what's happening.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Should I expect teeth to be shot at the video camera at some point?
Pretty much. I think one's just going to fly out and hit the camera right as soon as possible, man. No, that's what happens in middle age. Your body transforms, and it's a fascinating process. You're a walking science experiment. You don't even realize it.
Oh, that's friggin' awesome. I know how that goes, man. Mm-hmm. So you got some sweet Crohn's, and I got some solid IBS. We're a couple of old dudes talking about, bodily functions that go awry on us, and that's what we're going to do. What have you been up to these last couple of weeks? You been running any games? You got your Suede books going on?
Yep, got my Suede box last Tuesday, opened it up, took pictures for everybody to see, and I have to say I was very, very impressed with it. Just out of the fact that I actually have some physical items to go with a lot of the stuff that I didn't have before. The tokens are a plus. The little counters, I know Matthew Jones, that he's not a fan, but I think they're all right. It's a nice little way to keep track of rounds or ammo. Not that ammo is a big deal, but it's a nice little feature. What about you? Did you get yours?
I got mine. It's still wrapped in plastic sitting upstairs. I have yet to open it. I was thinking about just maybe keeping it in the plastic box and throwing it on my shelf, but I'm definitely going to get some use out of that sucker, come to think of it. It's not like it's ever going to be, it's not like a collector's item or any of that kind of thing.
Right.
Plus, there's a big open hole in that where I have two books. Like when the whatever level I bought at gave me the signed leather-bound deal and the hard copy or the hard cover book. So I have both of them, right? So I guess somehow I got to get one of them inside. But I guess in order to do that, I'm going to have to crack the plastic open because I'm not Houdini.
Yeah. No, you can't transport that in there. You can't teleport, a book inside of a sealed box.
I know that Matthew was complaining about the bookmarks, saying they're kind of flimsy and stuff like that, but that guy can suck it too.
You can get it laminated if you want them to be a little more substantial. That's not a big deal. You can get a laminator for $17 at Walmart.
Yeah.
I got a laminator. Why didn't he have a laminator? Everybody should have a laminator.
Why? An Eric laminator. That's what happens when the Terminator has sex with Eric's mom. It made an Eric laminator. And then he comes at you with his French accent. Let me get it. Oui, oui, hello. I am looking for the Sarah Connor.
Yep,
Right.
that's exactly.
Anything off topic you're excited for while we're on the, making fun of people?
It's kind of sad too because it's sad, but at the same time, I can't really say it's sad because I'm actually getting married pretty much the weekend that Nerds International virtual convention's going on, and also too, I'll be going on a bachelor party when Con on the Cob is going on. So that's the stuff that's kind of off topic. So I won't be involved in any of that stuff, which is kind of sad. But hopefully, Gary, you will, I'll be able to live vicariously through you because I know that you're going to get down at Con on the Cob, and you're going to get down maybe at Nerds International, the virtual con that they have Veterans Day weekend. So I'm just going to project all my happiness through you, and hopefully you're gonna fill that void for me while I'm getting hitched.
Have you ever seen the Mad Comics TV show? I think that was the show. And there's the sort of the two chubby people walking down the side of the highway, and then there's that song that plays, "Lowered Expectations."
Yes.
I feel like that's going to be me for you.
Oh, dude! Like all the stories. See, I'm thinking last year you were a little too sleepy. This year, I think you're going to be able to raise a sufficient amount of hell there at Con on the Cob. So,
I tell you what, man. If it's like 3:00 in the morning and the same amount of noise is coming out of the lobby, I'm going to lose my mind. It was like 24 hours a day, just solid white noise of just people talking. Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm going to try and get a room. Yeah, I'm going to try and get a room a little farther away. Maybe something that's got, like a little, maybe they got a little sex dungeon somewhere I can strap Harrison into.
Yeah, you'll have to go to the 4th floor to do that. That's where they keep all the non-safe for work items.
I thought it was only a 2-story building.
You got to talk to somebody. The maintenance guy that you talked to last year, talk to him. He knows.
Yeah, he knows where it's at. He knows all the good spots, eh? He knows where to hide. He knows where to hide a body.
Hey there, Mr. Suit-wearing guy.
Yes, that's me.
Don't I know you from someplace before?
Yeah,
I do know you. What's new with you, man?
Well, I suppose I could tell you what's new.
It's really great.
Well, let's get over to the meat and potatoes of this show. I want to learn some things about age.
I'm happy to educate you, man.
All right.
That's why I like talking to you, man, because we teach each other stuff.
Yeah.
So you taught me that one thing about you that I didn't need to know, but that's all right. We don't need to discuss that.
How's the mouth taste? That's
ain't enough bleach to get rid of that taste. But there's 3 core books in the Age system. Dragon Age would be the first one, and Dragon Age is based on the video game that came out in 2009. That Green Ronin got the license, and Age is made by Green Ronin, the same publishers of such fantastic RPGs as Mutants and Masterminds. That's one of my favorites. I played that for a while. And also, too, A Song of Ice and Fire, which is the Game of Thrones RPG. And I also played that for a good bit, too. So I've been playing with Green Ronin stuff for quite a bit here, amongst playing Pathfinder back in the day until I wised up and found some new systems. But, I started looking into this because... Well, what's funny is, everybody that we kind of hang out with in Nerds International, we all have a system that we love. And I'll be honest, my first and foremost system is Savage Worlds. I absolutely adore it. But you can't just eat a bologna sandwich all the time. You get tired of eating a bologna sandwich. And that's not to say Savage Worlds is a bologna sandwich. But, sometimes you want, or let's say it's a steak. Sometimes you want chicken. Sometimes you want fish, whatever. So I'm wanting to, kind of vary it up a little bit. And you like ICRPG. That's your kind of like your secondary system.
It's quickly becoming my primary system, to tell you the truth. It's what I'm actually running a campaign in it right now, trying that out. So loving every minute of it.
Yeah, you've been running the hell out of it. So yeah, that probably is your primary one. But I started watching the Expanse TV show. Then I started doing some digging around. I found out they came out with an RPG system, and it's done by the Age system. So that's why I was like, well, I like this show, man. So I started looking into the system. And I tell you what, man, I'm really, really impressed with what I've been looking at this so far for about a month. We've created characters, and in fact, we're going to play it Saturday. We're going to do this little modern age adventure that's run in the book, and we're going to check it out. And there's some really, really nice ideas that I like about Age. First and foremost, it's simple. It's simple, man. The best way I can describe this to you is, all right, let's say the best way I can describe Age is, let's say that GURPS, GURPS Lite, not the whole crunchies, but GURPS Lite, just a 32-page system, met Savage Worlds, an exclusive nightclub, only for like really, really pretty people. They did a bunch of Molly, and they screwed for 12 hours straight, and their passion baby would be the Age system.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That seems a touch glorious, if you know what I mean. Like, this better be good, buddy.
I mean, I'm trying to, I'm being a little hyperbolic here, but no, I've actually gotten a kick out of it because what they do is they break down everything, they boil everything down to just some simple mechanics. You roll 3d6, you add your ability, and if you got a focus and a skill, like let's say you're good at pistols, you got the focus in pistols, then you'll be able to take +2. So you roll 3d6. Add your ability, which is usually it ranges from anywhere to about, starting off from anywhere from like 0 to 4. So you're going to add that as a bonus to this roll, plus a +2 if you got something in an ability, and there you go. You don't have skill rolls, you don't have other rolls, you don't have saving throws. You just roll 3d6 to do stuff.
Yeah, so focus is kind of like having an expertise in D&D 5e, sort of the same thing. You just get a bit of a bonus on your deal there. Proficiency bonus. That's exactly what it is. Cool.
That's how you get started. Really, that's all you got to do in the system is you just go through. You're given 9 abilities, and what they want you to do is they kind of want you to roll for each ability. And there's a way that you can point by, in case that's not your jam, in case you roll some pretty crappy, rolls out the gate. It will do that. But what I really like about this too, and this sort of appeals to me because I have some players. And I don't think they listen to this, so I can talk as much shit as I want to. I have some players that like to go off and like design these crazy stories before they even sit down, or just design all these adventures before their characters actually even, roll any dice. I'm like, that's not really how you should do that. I mean, your story should be told in the course of the game, and this kind of gives them a reason to do this because your backgrounds are kind of random. I mean, you can pick them, and it gives you allows you to do so. But I think it's kind of fun just to roll to see where you're going to end up being. Like if you wanted to be an act, case in point in the in Fantasy Age, you can roll and you might be an outsider, and that's going to tell you you're probably not going to have much money. You're probably not going to be well liked, but I mean you're going to get some cool stuff out of it, one way or the other. Lower class kind of means that you're probably a little more skilled or something like that, or you're not so much of a pariah as the outsider. Middle class means that you're probably going to end up being a little more educated or something like that. And then upper class means that you're going to be a big baller. And so it's all kind of random in that sense. And I know some people aren't down with that, but I think it's kind of cool because you don't have this preconceived notion about where your character is going to go when you sit down. You might have a concept, but this kind of gives you, and actually will let you spark your imagination. If you're used to playing.
It's like a shot in the face to people that want to min-max when you start making them roll for their abilities because they don't know what they're going to get.
This game, in fact, they pretty much they take the min-max out of it. Because they do that because if you want to roll for your abilities, but some people aren't down with that, and so I would let them pick. But honestly, too, if you're going to make a human rogue with a short sword all the time, this is not going to necessarily allow you to do that. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Lamoureux. Make a new character, dude. Human rogue with a short sword. That's right. Everybody, man. Yeah,
he needs to do something cool like Gloop. Make the jelly guy.
Gloop was the shit. I love right. Gloop.
Damn straight.
Gloop for life.
Wow. All right, take it easy. I got a question for you.
Okay.
So you're saying that I got to roll these 3d6 dice. Now, do I roll them all the time and add my bonuses, or do I roll 1 sometimes, 2 sometimes, 3 sometimes? How do we do this?
No, man, you roll 3d6 each and every time. No, the only time that you're going to roll something different is like for damage. Like damage would be 1d6 or maybe 2d6 or something, but you're always going to roll 3d6.
So you're always rolling 3d6 to determine whether or not you succeed or fail at a task.
Correct.
How do you know, or how is the target number that you need to beat determined?
What they have done is the way that they've broken this down for easy. It's just like the old school days, man. A target number of a routine task is 7. A little bit hard, easy is 9. Challenging is 11.
So this is a lot like sort of Powered by the Apocalypse kind of a style. Don't they do the same thing?
I don't know. I'm not familiar with that, but I don't know how their target numbers are set up. But I know that I want to say that Mutants and Mastermind, they kind of use the same sort of conceit where you had a certain target number based on difficulty. And I guess D&D does that same thing too with your DCs, with your difficulty classes.
You got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 kind of a thing. If it's like super ultra hard.
Right. And so this is kind of what this does. And it is this is also a level-based system too. So and also this kind of appeals to me because while I like Savage Worlds, you're going to make a badass in Savage Worlds as soon as you sit down to roll up a character. Your guy's going to be able to do this, that, and the other. You know exactly who he is, or who he or she is right off the gate. All you're going to do is make them a little more skilled, or just a little bit better at what they're doing. Well, this you start off at level 1, and so you might not even characters going, first four, right off the gate. Then you get to about level 4, and then you can start specializing. Nice. Then you can start defining what your character is. And so that's sort of like D&D in that respect. When you start getting to level 3, you can start really, start picking stuff in your classes. Well, this kind of gives you the ability to specialize. And they got special. It's sort of like, the best way I can describe it, these are like the the background edges in Savage World. Mm-hmm. You can pick like in Fantasy Age that we're talking about here. You can like for the warrior, there's 3 classes. You can be like you can be a berserker, or you could be a you can be all kinds of stuff like let me see here, an assassin, a mage hunter, all these other things. So you can really start defining your character once you get to level 4, kind of like D&D does in level 3. Yeah.
At 3, everything splits off into specific trees and stuff like that. Here's another question I got for you. So Age is the adventure game engine, but that what we're looking at, Fantasy Age, is basically fantasy adventure game engine. So this has been highly detailed to this core sort of mechanic adventure game engine with fantasy layered over top of it and barfed out to the consumer. Is there not just like a straight up core adventure game engine book that, like Savage Worlds is sort of like a core? Right. This is not that. Basically, they're selling you the fantasy, they're selling you the modern, and they could come up with more like sci-fi, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, in fact, what they've kind of done already is, the good thing about it is the books aren't very big. Like the books are, the books aren't big, and they're not terribly expensive. I want to say that I got the Modern Age, I got the Modern Age book for like $30, and it wasn't bad. It's a nice hardcover book, so that's why it was a little more pricey. But that was at my game store too. I didn't get that off of Amazon, so I bought that at MSRP, and that still wasn't bad. The books aren't they're not. I don't say the books aren't any bigger than. Let me see how. Yeah, they're right at about 200 pages. But the reason why I think they're doing it is because instead of what they've done, like for the Expanse, is they've added more stuff to it. Is you could get a core rulebook, and I would agree that all you got to do is just strip out the elf stuff and the warrior stuff, and you would have the same thing too. But I guess that what they want to do is they want to add a new book with, they want to add a new rules, not so much a new rule set, but kind of like add on top of that with a different book, and just kind of like clean that up a little bit.
It's an easy way to sell you a thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of interesting. But it's as opposed to Savage Worlds, I can see the appeal to it as well, because being that this is Fantasy Age, this is highly focused on fantasy adventures, you know what I mean? So there's it's all axes, blood, heavy blades, polearm spears, that kind of stuff. Like it's highly detailed towards the fantasy genre, those elements. Very cool. So you can play. What have we got for first? Let's start off with the skills and abilities. What have you got? Have you got strength, dexterity, intelligence, that kind of stuff?
Man, you've named it. So you get 9. And it's pretty much you got accuracy, which is shoot. Like if you want to use a ranged weapon, that's what you're going to use to use that. Communication, that's your charisma, your persuasion. That's how you talk to people. And you get different focuses in that if you want to. Like you can take an investigation focus, or you can take a performance focus. Constitution, that's your health. In fact, they even give you, where Savage Worlds and I want to say D&D, they don't give you any focuses based on Constitution or vigor in that respect, where they can let you focus in this. Like drinking is one of them. Like if you want to drink people under the table, you can take a focus in that. I know I can take a focus in that. Not really though. It's horrible. I really don't drink much, man. When I do, it's not a good scene. But you got dexterity. Of course, that's a staple in just about every RPG. You get fighting, which is what you're going to use for melee attacks, which I think that's cool. I like it when they differentiate between, when they give you a skill for fighting. Intelligence, that's sort of like the big skill, just like intelligence or smarts in Savage Worlds. You're going to have a lot of different skill focuses in that one. Perception, that's a separate skill, so that way you can, just like notice, but you're able to get focuses in the different senses. You got strength focuses, you can take might as a focus. That means you're going to be really, really good at lifting stuff and, and just feats of raw power. And you got willpower. That's just like resisting fear and everything like that too. So you got 9 abilities, and these are what you're going to roll on. Like if you need to make a test, you'll roll for strength. But if it's lifting something and you have the might focus, then you'll get a +2 to that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So that these accuracy, dexterity, fighting, intelligence, all that kind of stuff is all sort of thrown into these categories. Inside of those categories, they break down into you can do this with accuracy kind of a thing. So you could take a focus in like black powder guns, that falls under your accuracy. So you would, when you would roll, you would add your accuracy, and if you took black powder, you would get +2 to your roll as well. So you're rolling 3d6 plus whatever your bonus is for accuracy, +2 if you're using a black powder weapon.
That's
and
it,
then,
man. That's perfect.
And then beating the target number. Now, is there a list? Is there a list of target numbers?
Oh yeah. In fact, I will pull that up for you.
Okay,
here
well,
if you
just
want.
hang tight. Races. So, being that this is fantasy, I'm assuming you've got dwarves, elves, humans. What
Yes.
other ones we've got? We got gnomes and halflings and.
Yep, and I want to say we got orcs too in this one. You can play as an orc in this one. So I always like playing as an orc. Cool.
So,
And also too, it kind of breaks the monotony of of being just being a little tweet elf or being a little smart ass gnome or whatever. Orc is like the good orc is always like the wild card. And that's why I think it's kind of cool. But yeah, you can.
It's funny, when Dungeons and Dragons first started out, there was no playing orcs, and then all of a sudden playing an orc became a thing, and now all of a sudden it's like it's commonplace, like it's
pretty standard,
right? They've come so far. So there's no fae, there's no fairies,
No.
there's no giant kin, none of that kind of stuff that you can play as a playable race.
Not as far. Now here's the thing: I don't have the companion book of this, and of course, companion's going to expand a little bit of that out. They just released a companion. Actually, companion's been out. They just released the modern age companion, but the companion may expand upon that. I don't have that book, so I'll have to look at that.
Okay. So you pick your race, and then you've got your social classes, like you were saying. There's those deals. And then I see that you've got like background, so you can be an apprentice, an artist, a criminal. Now, do these things add specific bonuses to some of your focuses, or are they just for fluff?
No, you get bonuses. You get bonuses for picking them. In fact, what you end up doing is when you roll on these and you end up getting you get a certain background. Oh, let me just as an example. You can get like these. They'll give you certain bonuses or whatever depending on what you're getting. I know in modern age, especially, what they do is if you pick if you're a laborer, you're going to get a +1 in strength, and you might be able to pick a focus in brawling or a focus in like working machinery or something. So that's what it is. So the backgrounds are going to give you a bonus. So it's not just like flavor, which I like too. Anytime you get a mechanical benefit or a mechanical sort of element to anything that enhances flavor text, I like.
This is actually really sort of an ingenious kind of little deal going on here. Once you roll for your social classes, your outsider, lower, middle, or upper, that determines what you can pick for a background, because you can't be like a noble if you were born in the outsider or like the lower classes, right? So you can only be. That's neat. And then I see that it says here too that so if you were to take noble, you get communication etiquette or intelligence heraldry as like a bonus and stuff like that. Okay, cool. So there's quite a few of these things. I see they've got character creation or what are these are called? Backgrounds. Yeah, so they've got quite a few backgrounds listed here, which is pretty nice. This seems like a well-rounded out section.
Oh yeah. And the thing about it is once you start getting the classes, there's only 3 classes you can pick. You can either be a warrior, a mage, or a rogue, and those are all just simple. Mage is a magic user. Whatever you want to make with that, you can. A warrior is, if you want to be a bow warrior, you can do that. Rogue, if you want to be an assassin, or if you want to be a lockpicker, if you want to be a pickpocket, you can do all that too. Once you start getting the specializations, you can start, making that a little more, granular. You can start really defining what your character is.
Is there an argument really for those primary colors, primary classes? Do you know what I mean? Like,
right,
mage, fighter, thief, right?
Yeah, I think what it is too, and what I'm starting to realize about with what I've been delving into with the age system, is this was sort of meant for if you've never played an RPG before. This is a good introduction into an RPG system. It's not as crunchy or daunting as D&D is. And to tell you the truth, I almost think Savage Worlds is you need to be an intermediate GM before you start running that. I don't think that you should. I mean, Savage. It's like when Paris was talking about On the Wild Die not that long ago, and he says you need Savage Worlds is one of these systems that you kind of have to grok another system before you really get it. You know, where this one, where I'm seeing with Age, is they're kind of showing you how to play an RPG and what it's all like. If you've never picked up one before, this is a good starting point. This is really a good, you know, a really good, you know, introductory system to RPGs, and also too, it's also detailed enough to where you can get some nuance out of it too.
Let's just stick with, say, the Mage classes. You've got your 3 primaries. I take Mage. From there, I see that you get like primary abilities. These are, you get your primaries and your secondaries. What's the difference between those two things?
That breaks it down a little bit too. They don't do this so much in modern age, where it's all just flat abilities. Where these are kind of abilities that reflect what your class is about. You're going to want to focus more in willpower and intelligence if you're a mage. We're in strength, you know, we're dexterity and, you know, and maybe accuracy if you're a rogue.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of like the primary ones are just, that's sort of like your focus.
Yeah.
Also too, as far as like in fantasy age, where as far as leveling goes, you can, when you level up, you can, when you get to level 2, you can enhance an ability, like you can enhance a primary ability, and then I think in the odd number, enhance a secondary ability.
Yeah.
Or in modern age, you can enhance whatever the hell you want.
Yeah, so this is sort of like ripping another page out of D&D. They're the primary abilities and secondary abilities are just their way of telling you that these are the most important abilities for your class, and then here's like the second one. I see you got starting health, which is 20 plus your constitution, and then you're limited to weapon groups. You got to take brawling and staves for weapon groups. Now,
right,
like D&D, this is very level oriented. I see that you've got like level 1 to 20. As you progress in levels, it says that you can take different things. So a new talent, you become a novice in a new talent or gain a degree in a talent you already have. Talents. What are talents?
Talents are edges. Think Savage World. Talents are edges, and what they do is they really kind of enhance characters about. What they do is you can get talents. Some of the ones that they have, they're like alchemy is a talent. You know, you can learn how you can make grenades, and you can throw them at people. Animal training is a talent. I don't know how to say this word, but chirurgy. I don't know. Chirurgy, you know, where you can treat wounds and illnesses. I would call that medicine. But
is that not thaumaturgy? Or no, that's something else.
It's called chirurgy, chirurgy. So maybe I'm saying it right, but it looks like chirurgy.
Okay.
Chirurgy.
What page is this on so I can see this?
It's on page 43.
I gotta scroll down to 43 and find this word right now. Oh my god.
Yeah. It's at the bottom of the page.
Wheel mouse, 43. Why are you way down here on 43?
Because I go into the talents.
Okay, so what bottom of page? Alchemy, armor training, command. You say 43. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know how to say that word. Chirurgy. Chirurgy.
But it's treating wounds, and it's treating wounds, and it's pretty much the medicine skill. But yeah, you get this one, and contacts is another one too. I can, let me ask you this, because you're an old D&D hat and you're an old veteran. Was like you didn't get a whole lot of contacts weren't really such a thing back when you played. Did you like talking to people? Like, it wasn't listed on a character sheet, no. Or anything like that. Wasn't? Yeah, you just if you knew dude, you knew dude.
Yep, you basically rolled into town and you would look around go to the bar and try and get some information or some tidbit, or go into a back alley and talk to some guy. But yeah, contacts was really not a thing that I came across until actually. Until Savage Worlds, because in Deluxe you had Streetwise.
Yep,
was sort of my first foray into it, and I'm like, wow, that actually was really cool. Like, what an easy way for you to go into an area and find information on a thing that you need, which is kind of cool. So, all right, I'm gonna shoot back up to the mage here. Go ahead.
So yeah, the mage. So that's what the mage can do is you pick these talents. You usually given one, and like during just on the page here too, it just says what you can do broken down like per level. Like you get a new magical talent at 3, or you can get a new you can get a new talent too, and you get a new magical talent. So that means you can pick a new like class of magic. You know how D&D has like divination and evocation or whatever.
So are you stuck casting certain spells? You don't have to choose them. You can be generic.
There's certain spell, like certain talents will give you certain spells. Like there's I want to say that there's the Fire Arcana that's going to give you 2 novice spells, and then once you get to like a certain level, it'll give you an expert spell, and then it'll give you a master spell. So you can get once you pick that Arcana, you're going to get 4 spells off the bat.
Wow, okay, that's cool. Nice.
It's all fire related, and I think they have an ice one. Sure with the
level 1 mage is sort of where you're, by the looks of it, you get Arcane Blast, Arcane Device. Each mage has an Arcane Device through which they can focus magical energies. So you've got like a staff or something along those lines. You get magic training. Yeah. So this is the most important of the mage's power. It allows you to cast spells that are the hallmark of the class. I see. Okay, so that is like a thing that you get. So that's like a talent kind of a deal. And then you have magic points, which is you start with a number of magic points equal to 10 plus willpower plus D6. So if I had 10 magic points plus my willpower, why am I saying willpower?
Because you willpower.
10 points plus willpower plus 1d6. How many spells can I cast at first level with a maximum first level? How cool am I going to be?
You're going to be pretty cool because those power points are only about 1. Novice power point or novice spells usually cost about 1 power point.
All right, cool. So we're talking 15, 16 spells I might be able to blast off before I need to take a rest. Yeah. And then it says you can take a starting talent here. So those are like the Chirurgy that we're talking about, linguistics or lore. And then, like, every time you progress, it's new talent, new magic talent, new specialization. Okay, I get it. And then I see here at, like, level 6, it says Spell Blast. So you can cast a spell after hitting a foe with an arcane blast. So it's a stunt that costs 3 stunt points. Wow, this is, okay, we're getting not really overly complicated. It still looks very simple, but a little a little crunchier on that kind of a level. That's kind of neat.
Yep. Yeah, I'll talk about that's when we start getting to the cool little features of modern or the age system that's kind of separates it from just from D&D and the other, and like Pathfinder and all the other fantasy systems that are the prominent ones. If you would like, or if you want to go over this a little bit more, I'll just wait. We'll talk about stunts when we get down to it. But so yeah, and it just breaks it down. It's kind of neat that it'll tell you exactly what you're going to get level by level. That you're going to get this specialization. And you're going to be able to get 2 specializations. So, I mean, you could invariably be, you could be an arcane scholar and an elementalist. That sounds kind of cool, right? Mm-hmm. You could be a miracle worker. What's a miracle worker? Oh, these are the guys. Oh, yeah, these are the guys that resurrect people. So, yeah, maybe you could be a miracle worker.
It's
and a sword mage.
It's interesting because you have new talent, new magic talent, or new specialization. They seem to be the 3 sort of top tier things that you can take. That they throw in things like the Spell Blast. There's Big Blast, but generally, like every level, you're gonna so you get stunt bonus at 13. Generally, every level you're gonna get either a new magic talent, a new specialization talent, or just a new talent. And then I'm assuming those are sort of like 3 tiers of things that you can crack down as you work your way down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. And I'm assuming each class is the same, right? They get certain abilities as you go through, and then they progress, and you get. Okay, I'm with you on the same page. Now, gaining levels.
Absolutely. This what appealed to me about this too is, like I said, Savage World. You're not like, as a player, you don't really when you advance. It's sort of, but this one you kind of get stoked when you level up. I mean, that's sort of the appeal to like level-based systems too. Is like player. That once you hit level 2 or level 3, you're like, oh man, I'm going to get some cool stuff.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people like Dungeons and Dragons. I was talking about that on the last Savage, the Wild Eye podcast. I think that's the appeal to it, is that you can sort of see what your character is going to be from 1 to 20. And even though you're at level 1, like if you continue to survive, you're eventually going to get that skill that's going to lead you to be a thing at this level, which is kind of neat. So this sort of takes that away. But at the same time, it gives you a thing where it gives you a pool to pick from, instead of like D&D says, this is specifically what you're going to get. This says you could pull from this pool at this level. Okay, cool. And now we've got experience points.
Choices. Yep. And you're going to get more choices, more so than just like 3 choices. You can actually define your character a little bit. You can make it a little more different than the standard human rogue with a short sword.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it allows you to sort of like customize. The customization is a little bit better. It's one of the things that I thought was kind of neat when I first started playing D&D 5e, but when I started playing Savage Worlds and I realized that you could do cool things and really customize your character, when you look back at D&D, it's cool that you can see what you're going to get when you along your path, your progression path. But the kind of the crappy part of that whole thing is like you're sort of limited to taking, like when you hit level 3, you're going to go into one of sort of 3 forms of being a thief, and you just follow that path. So there's not much customization. Like at level 4, thief trickster is going to be the same as every other level 4 thief trickster kind of things. You know what I mean? Yeah. Generally speaking.
Paladin at level 8 is going to be the same as a paladin. Most paladins at level 8 are going to be the same. Level 8. So that's pretty standard. You're not going to see a whole lot of differentiation between the 2 of them, or the 3 of them. How many paladins you got?
Yeah. What's next,
man? I want to talk to you about what separates this game from standard standard role playing fare, because almost any game system, you kind of have to have a gimmick, really, or it's going to set you. It's going to just set itself apart from the rest.
What do you mean?
What's interesting about this?
Like narrative dice?
Not well, kind of. Yeah, I mean, if you want to be like, let's be real, that is gimmicky. But yeah, but what's different about this one is when you roll in the age system is they want you to roll 3d6, but they want you to have one that's a little bit different. Like if you have 2 white dice, if you have 3 dice, make sure that you have one that's a little different, like a different color, or maybe it's got different pips on it or something. And that's the reason why they do that, is because that dice is called the stunt dice, and you're like, what? Isn't there another system that also has a funky die called the wild die or something? I'm like, yes, Gary, there is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why this is very similar. Yeah, that's why this is very similar. And the fact and how the wild die in Savage Worlds will make you and break you. The stunt die in the age system is pretty much the defining characteristic. This die takes care of everything. This die, if you roll, let's say if you and I are rolling, in a post test, and you get a 4 on your funky die that you call the stunt die, and I get a 6 on my stunt die. My 6, let's say we tie. Whoever's got the higher number on a stunt die will win that result. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The stunt die is the arbiter. But what's cool about this is the cool system. You know how Savage Worlds, you got ace and dice. You got exploding dice.
Mm-hmm.
In this, you get stunt points. And what happens when you get stunt points? Oh man, it's a beautiful thing, Gary. Like,
you could do stunts.
Yep, it's like an angel kissing your wiener. You did. You figured it out, didn't you? It's like an angel kissing the tip of your wiener, man. Let me tell you, that's like.
Well,
what you do is,
that's cool right up until you look down and realize that Angel's a Mexican guy.
Right, that you realize it's Angel Mendoza. Angel, get out of here. But anyway.
Okay.
But anyway. All right. So we're rolling, right? And you got your 3d6, and let's say you're making a 5, and you're trying to punch this orc in the grill. He's got you so mad and everything like that too. And I say, all right, Gary, you're gonna have to hit his defense to make it happen. And his defense is 11. Let's see what you got. So you roll fighting. You roll those 3d6, and let's say you gotta focus in brawling. And so you roll 3d6, and you got a 3 in fighting, and you got a +2 in fighting. So and check this out. You get doubles on the dice, and it's a successful test. You look at the total of your stunt die. Let's say that your stunt die, let's say you roll 2 6s and a 5, and that 5 is on a stunt die. Well, that is already a 17. That is a damn good roll, my man. And so you've already succeeded. Because that is a successful test, you get 5 points, 5 stunt points to use. And so there's a list of different stunts, man, that you can do. And they're pretty neat. Now, here's the thing about this. Oh, you got a look on your face. You got a question. So as you're playing the game, you have a pool of stunt points that you're building up. Actually, you don't really build them up, as you just use them. They're like, you don't really hold on to them. You got to burn them as soon as you use them. But there's ways that you can carry them over.
I didn't hear what you said. Okay, so stunt points. So it almost seems as you're playing the game, you're building up this pool of stunt points, but you're I guess you're saying you're not?
No, what you're doing is once you make a successful roll and you roll doubles on that roll, and whatever your stunt die shows, you get stunt points. So you can use 5 stunt points, or how many is on the dice there during that turn. And you have there's some really cool stunts. Like for 3 stunt points, there's something called lightning attack, which lets you attack twice. You got something called skirmish, which lets you move a dude out of the way for 1 point. There's a big list of them. Now, here's the thing, though. I've talked to a bunch of different people, and I've been studying this. I can tell you right now, this probably will slow the game down a little bit on the onset because you have a big list of stunts to choose from, and people will get that analysis paralysis and be like, I don't know what to choose when I want to do. Do I push back or do this? That's when you just tell them, look, here's 4 stunts. They've actually kind of solved that too. Is they let you, when you build characters, they let you choose like favorite stunts. Those are ones that you know you're going to use often, so that way you don't have to dig through the goddamn sheet and like, I don't know what I want to do yet. Just pick 4 and go with it. But yeah, it's kind of a good idea. Like when, and the veterans I've talked to this game is once people start getting the hang of it, they'll know which stunts to use and everything like that too. But I think it's kind of cool. Like you're rolling and you roll these doubles, and like, oh crap, I got 4 on my stunt die, and I got a successful roll. I'm going to look and see what kind of stunts I can use. Okay, I can push this dude back, and I can do extra damage on him. So.
Okay, I gotcha. So you've got your 1 weird dice. You roll them all. If you succeed on it, you look at the weird dice and see how big it is, and then you've got and that is your stunt pool just for this turn, and it goes away when it's done. And you can choose from a list of things to do. All right, that's actually kind of cool. That's pretty slick. Yep. I'm kind of a fan of that.
Yep. Just make sure this happens when you roll doubles. If you roll doubles on any two of the dice, it doesn't matter if one's a stunt die or one's the other one. If there's doubles, that's when those stunt points go into effect.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of cool as well. That's a neat way to sort of. It's like getting the Joker in whatchamacallit. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're getting your bonuses.
Yeah, nice. You're getting a surprise too. So the thing about it is too is we're going to test it out this weekend. We're going to try a little modern age this weekend and see how it goes. There's a little adventure book, a little adventure module in the back. The only drawback that I see to everything right now, and this is all pretty new. Modern Age came out last year, and they have a handful of they have a couple of setting books out for it. They have this one called Lazarus, which is kind of neat, based on a comic book, and they have one called Threefold, which is sort of like an urban fantasy sort of. You go to different realms, but it's sort of like urban, like a modern day Magic setting or something. So like Harry Potter or Dresden Files or something. Because this is a new system, there is a surprisingly, not surprisingly, but there's an understandably lack of, of modules to run. I don't have the time to write my own stuff, so I like running modules. I'm that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too, for sure.
I'm that guy. I would rather run a module, but so that's the only sad part about it is I don't know how I can run a game in Modern Age because I don't have any, I don't have anything to write. But that doesn't mean I can't grab something from another system, or maybe even I could probably even use Bearcats if I wanted to.
Yeah, that or if it's like modern, like if it's you've read some Tropicana and stuff like that, you could probably run something out of there. Yeah,
I could grab Tropicana. I've actually Agents of Oblivion, the old from Savage Worlds to see what I could do because I had an idea to do like this espionage thing in Modern Age just to kind of check it out. But that's what I'd end up doing too. But sadly, hopefully they're going to come out with. Actually, let me rephrase this. What they're doing right now is Green Ronin is actually about to roll out something. It's very similar to Swag. That's being the Savage Worlds Adventurers Guild. Is rolling out something called the Age Arena, which lets which lets people make their own, community projects, and that'd be something to take a look at down the road if you wanted to submit some. If you wanted to throw your hand in writing adventure modules for.
Yeah, cool.
Check that out.
So that's kind of the sort of the character building aspect of it. We've been at this for not very long, skimming through it, and it kind of makes sense. Like I get where they're coming at, which is kind of cool. So defense is one of the big things here. It says the defense is equal to 10 plus your dexterity plus your shield bonus if applicable. Mm-hmm. In order for me to hit you, I need to roll above your defense on 3d6. So you've got 10. Yep. How many starting points? How many points can you put into each one of those original 9?
It just depends on how much you roll. There is a point buy system, but when you roll your abilities, that's what you'd be putting in, what you end up doing. It's kind of weird that the way they do it is like you roll a 3d6 when you're building character, and depending on what you roll, you're going to get a certain point value assigned to it. Like if you roll a 10, you might not get a point that you can stick in that ability, but if you roll a 17, you might get 3 points that you'll be able to stick in that ability.
I got you. I see it right here. Actually, I scrolled back up, determining your ability. So you just roll 3d6 and it gives you a modifier. So there's actually no numbers for each one of those. It's not like accuracy has an 18 like it does in D&D. It's basically, if you were to roll, say, 3, like 3 ones, your starting ability is going to be -2 in accuracy. Then you move on to the next one. Okay, so that's actually relatively simple then. And then those modifiers plus your stuff equals your deal. Is there a section in here that tells you or helps you determine the target number or setting the target number?
My man, I got to look to page 31, and it's all right there for you.
All right, because I'm just trying to scroll right back through the character creation part of it, through the defenses, through the ties, how they're broken down, what stunt points are is in here, which is kind of cool. Now we get to the basic rules, how to play the game, ability tests, stunt points, types of tests. Okay, so here I am at 31, basic test difficulty. So this is the target number. Okay, so obviously this is the kind of thing that you want to put on the GM screen, right?
Correct.
Routine, easy, average, challenging, hard, formidable, imposing, and then nigh impossible. By the looks of it, they just jump by 2. 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21. Pretty straightforward when you start looking at it and kind of figuring out the math. Okay, so you could just choose any one of those numbers depending on how hard you think it is as a game master, and you just got to beat that number. Yep.
Also, too, what's interesting is I was actually doing this. The first for me is actually doing a little bit of math because I'm curious about this too. Just looking at the target numbers. I pulled up anydice.com, and that's a fantastic tool if you ever wanted to see out probabilities. You actually have a 10% chance with 3d6 to roll a 10, a 10, 11, or a 9. I mean, it's usually 10, 11, 12. You actually have a 10% chance, or 9 to 11. That's what it is. 9 to 11, you have a 10% chance to do that. So that's what you have a greater chance to hit that in any, of any of the dice. So really, you're wanting to try anything. If you're rolling above a 10, your chances are you're going to be rolling roughly around a 10. So I'd want to set the target number roughly around like 11 or 13 or something to that effect.
Yeah, average and challenging. Yeah, I got you.
So that's a good happy medium because I was just figured I just wanted to see what would be the best approach for handling the. So
that's on a straight 3d6. If you were to roll 3d6, you have a 10% chance of getting 10 or higher.
No, either a 9, a 10, or 11
is a 10% chance.
Then after 11, it starts dropping down to like 7%. A 12 is like 7%. A 13 is like 6%. All the way down when you get to an 18. To roll an 18 or to roll 3 ones, it's a 0.5% chance.
Wow, that's cool. But you do get your modifiers that you could slap on top of this stuff too. So that's going to make okay. That's cool. I like that. That's not too hard to grasp your brain around. The artwork in this book is freaking amazeballs. Like, this is top lot. The layout's nice. Degrees of success, I think we've kind of just been talking about that. So you've got your stunt.
Yeah, degrees of success is something. If you want to know how well somebody did on, is to look at the stunt dice. So they made a successful test. Let's say they had to beat an 11, which is average target number. Let's say they got an 11. And then you look at the stunt die, and you want to see how well they did. If they got a 1, then maybe they barely crawled over that fence and they left their pants hanging back on it. Or if they rolled a 6, then they jumped over the fence like a pole vaulter.
Action time. So narrative time basically says it's the GM's job to narrate. Action time says when things get tense and it starts to matter who does what in which order, that's when you go into action time. Initiative. How does initiative work?
Man, initiative. You roll for initiative. And you use your I want to say you don't I want to say you add your speed to it. That's what you
dexterity initiative ability test is what it says there. I got you. So then you could get lucky and roll high. Can you focus initiative?
Yeah, actually you can. There's actually there's certain stunts that will let you move ahead in the initiative. In fact, there's a stunt that I want to say that you can, for 1 point, it'll give you a +4 to your initiative. And also too, there's another stunt that if you get 4 points, for 4 points, it'll let you jump ahead to the front.
Very, very cool. I see there's major and minor actions. Can you do one major action and one minor action? Is there a
movement like Savage Worlds is a minor action?
Okay, cool.
So you can do 2 minors, which is like, you can ready a a flaming potion or something, or you can ready an arrow. That's sort of what it is. Major actions, that's doing the good stuff.
Yeah. The swing and the attack, the all-out attack, the charge, defend, heal, melee attack,
Right.
range attack, cast a spell. Any one of those is a major action. And so minor actions would be things like aim. Obviously, that's going to give you a bonus. I see that. Guard up, so if you want to be a little more defensive, or move. That's all part of the minor. So variable actions. You attempt to cast a spell which requires a casting roll. This may be a major or a minor or a free action, depending on the spell. So spells are listed in that order then? Major, minor, and free? I guess if it's a cantrip.
Yeah.
Or something
And
simple.
then also, and then reloading too. A weapon will tell you whether or not it's got a number, it's got a value based on there, and tell you whether or not that it's going to be a major action or minor action.
Yeah.
Whether or not you need to reload, like a crossbow or something. A crossbow will probably be a major action because you need that crank, and you got to crank that sumbitch up and everything.
You got to give her a good winding.
Right. We're bow. It's just going to be a minor.
Okay. Inflicting damage. You have obviously a pool. This is a what do you call that? Whatchamacallit? This is an attrition system.
It's an attrition system. Yes, it is. You do have hit points, but what they've done, there is an attrition system, but there's not any negative modifier. Once you get to 0, that's when the bad stuff. You're probably not going to make it.
Okay, and when you hit 0, what happens? I see that.
That you're dying, and then you'll start. You'll die after a number of rounds after equal to 2 plus your Constitution, unless you get healed.
Okay, cool.
So once you get 0, there's not any question about it. You're going to die.
Yeah, somebody's got to come over and give you the chirurgy.
The chirurgy of health. Give me the chimichanga of health.
Yeah, you just screaming that Tick. I'm coming with your chimichanga. Wow. Okay, so I see the combat stunts. You got skirmish, rapid reload. Rapid reload would be cool. You can immediately reload a missile weapon. So if you did have that and you got your doubles for the stunt, you could immediately reload your crossbow. That's kind of cool. Knock prone, disarm. There's some cool stuff in here.
Yep, 2 points, man. For 2 points, all you got to remember, pretty much for the most part, for 2 points you can do extra damage, and for 5 points you can do an extra 2d6 of damage. So those are, you could, it gives you the option to do some other cool narrative stuff, like set up an ally or whatever. On their next turn they get a +2 bonus to their ability test of the choice. So that's kind of cool. It's like, hey man, I'm going to bonus, dude, so you can this guy or screw this guy up. Sorry, I said
wow, that's a little stiff. Dual strike is in here. That's cool. Yeah, setup is cool. You can actually give a bonus to somebody else for 3 points. I see the lightning strike you were talking about. Threaten. So you strike a threatening pose. So this would be cool if you're a tank, and this could be like a tanky thing. Well, you could probably make your own combat stunts fairly easily too if you wanted to add a few things in here and just sort of cross-compare the effectiveness.
Yeah, they actually, in some of the companions, they actually show you how to make stunts. They actually give you a general guideline on how to do it.
I like this. So far I'd have to say that I'd like to play this. I'd like to try it out and get some of these things on the go with the stunts and stuff like that. That's pretty cool.
Well, I tell you what, I've been talking to your buddy about this because I know he was fascinated with it.
I'm gonna bleep his name out because his name shall not be mentioned on any other show than he's in my shit list right now. Guy goes on other podcasts and it's all like, oh yeah, me and Eric. It's like, dude,
right?
I've been co-hosting the show for 3 years now, and you can't mention my name or even fake like I'm there. That's it. So yeah,
no,
that guy's name's getting beeped out.
Okay, so that guy, we'll call him that guy. That guy was he was looking at this too, roughly about the same time I was. And I was talking to him about this, and he's getting something together in Fantasy Grounds, and I kind of copied it over. But when schedules align a little bit, I could probably get something together for us if you wanted to check this out.
I do. It looks very cool. I'm pretty excited. I mean, we're 30 some odd pages into this, and I see that there's some other cool stuff. So we've got grenades, we've got mounts in combat, we've got flying combatants. So that's kind of cool.
Yep, it shows you what you can do. That they get different minor actions if depending on where they're flying. They can move number of yards equal to their flying speed when they circle and fly. I mean, they make distance equal to their, which is 3 yards off the ground, which, of course, 2 yards equals 1 inch on the battle map. In case you didn't know, that's pretty standard.
Would you say that this is more of a theater of the mind or a battle map game?
It starts off wanting to be, or it starts off leading you to believe it's. But when I started cracking open the modern age companion, they have a whole system. They have a whole companion where it lays out battle map stuff. Okay, and so they have it broken down. The only thing that I would be a little interested in is the only thing that I would have to work on a little bit is the radius, for like a grenade, because it's more or less, it's not like blast template or whatever. It'd have to be like, what is it, 10? The blast hits like 10 yards away from that, so I would have to just eyeball that or whatever. For like an area of effect weapon or something. Yeah.
Into the 40s, we've got focuses. So I see that they've got the 9 sort of main ones and what you can put into it to break your characters down. So that's really actually pretty sweet. And then it tells you how to improve them. Now we're at the talents section here.
Yep, so this is the good stuff.
Is it? All right. What is the good one?
Man.
Chiraruji?
That's so far, that's the best one. But I think your favorite, also too, they mix, and I think your favorite one is the pole weapon style, because I hear you like to wield the pole around. Mm-hmm.
It's more of a short sword than anything.
Oh, whack whack. Single weapon style is pretty cool. You can fight effectively with a single hand weapon, and also too, you're going to +1 defense to using that. So I think that's kind of cool. You got your one little sword, so you can be able to ting, 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 defend really well with that. Two-hander style, if you want to be a big clubbing sumbitch, that's what you would use for that.
I see they've got oratory, oratory.
Oratory. Oh, hello. But you're a skilled public speaker who can sway others with your words. That's what that is.
I do like that the oratory is right above the pole weapon style. That's cool. So you can just basically, at certain levels, you can tack one of these things on and specialize or do a thing. So this is another way to sort of fine-tune your character, which is kind of cool. I'm liking this. And then specializations. How does this work?
These are like the background edges of Savage Worlds. These start defining your character. Once you get to level 4, this is what sort of puts the cherry on the top. This is what makes your rogue. This is actually what differentiates your rogue from Eric's rogue. Eric's rogue is gonna wield a short sword. Man, if you wanted to be an assassin, you can be an assassin, and you're gonna get like what else for your novice? For your novice ability, you can assess a nearby opponent and spot weaknesses to exploit in combat. With an activate action, you can mark for death a visible target within 10 yards of you. All ranged and melee attacks against the target marked for death receive a +1 damage bonus. Wow! How cool is that? And that's for the assassin talent.
Sweet. So then, when you hit a certain level in your rogue specialization skill, you would get this at, like you said, level 4. You can take a specialization talent. And then as you progress throughout the levels, you're going to get another one of these things where, I see what you're saying, because you've got novice, journeyman, and master. So when you get your next specialization talent, you can move from novice to journeyman and then get both of them. Okay.
Right. And then once you get to level 16, you can take a secondary specialization and enhance upon that. So you could be an assassin. You can pick an assassin talent at level 4 for a rogue, and then you can move on to be a duelist, which is you are the master speed and precision. You learn the dueling weapon group, if you don't already know it, when fighting in the dual weapon style, and you're using a melee weapon that uses accuracy and a +1 to your attack rolls and +1 to defense versus melee attacks. So you're using 2 weapons, and you're like ting, ting, ting. That's like, imagine that. Imagine being a dual weapon wielding friggin' assassin.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually really cool. I like how they sort of, Arcane Scholar is the mage specialization, and then as you progress, you've got Warrior can take Berserker, and then you could choose things like, for the Rogue, you can take the Duelist. You've got the Elementalist for the Mage, Guardian, so if you wanted to get tanky. The Knight, I would assume, is, that's where you start breaking off into your Paladin kind of a deal.
Yep.
Sort of thing. All right, Mage Hunter. Ooh, she's got that old sharpshooter, or not. She's got the Warhammer look to her.
Yeah, that old with the pilgrim hat looking on. The pilgrim hat and then that flintlock or whatever. Yeah, that looks the cuff boots. Yeah.
So in Fantasy Age, there's Black Powder and stuff like that in this one. That's kind of sweet. Yeah, no, I like that. If you wanted to go mage, miracle worker. Now, I'm assuming this is where you go if you wanted to be like the priest class and stuff like that. You start healing, but everything is just mage. Priest is the separation inside of D&D. Fighter, mage, priest, thief. Those are your 4 basics. But in this one, they've combined the 2. If you're a spellcaster, you're a mage. Whether you're a priest or yeah, that's cool. All right, so you can specialize that way, and then you've got equipment, weapons, your standard sort of groups and stuff. So this harkens back to D&D, where if you play the priest class, then you're stuck to like bludgeoning. The mage was bludgeoning and something else.
Is bludgeoning and piercing when they got a dagger, didn't they? Back in the day. I'm
going to shoot back up to the front here and see what the mage had, because they could only pick from 2. Yeah,
it's brawling and staves that they can use.
Right. Okay. So you have to pick from one of those 2, and those are the weapons that you're allowed to blast with.
Right.
All right. I like that too, because that sort of harkens back to the good old days of D&D, where you, unlike Savage Worlds, you can't just wield whatever you want. You can't be a sword wielding, spell casting frickin' lunatic. I don't know if that works in its favor or not, but
right. No, if you were a sword wielding mage in my game, that pretty much puts a target on my back, because you want to kill everything.
Savage.
That just tells me that you want to be Gandalf, or you want to be you want to be something like that. If you're going to be a wizard and hold you're getting a fireball from an orc from me.
I've noticed throughout this book, grenades have come up quite a few times. So what they consider a grenade is, I see down here, it's like acid, blast, fire, ice. So a grenade is essentially a vial that you throw.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's essentially a thrown weapon that can explode. So it could be a vial, it could be, it could be like a little, a quick bomb or something to that effect. But yeah, that's what it is. It's a grenade instead. It's a hurled weapon that will explode. Or
the stinker. A small clay bottle of extremely potent and noxious liquid that can spread in a 5-yard radius and attempt to slow or confuse any pursuers that might be attracting the adventurer by scent. That's cool. So you could toss that down and sort of blast them away. I see that the coins are copper, silver, gold kind of a thing, right? Is there platinum or electrum, or did they just stick with those 3?
I think they just stick with these 3. And what's interesting to me is the difference between this and modern age. Is modern age, you don't get money, you get a resource roll. You get a resource when you get your occupation, you get a resource modifier, and that's whenever you would roll, and you would add that resource account or the resource value to your roll, and that's how you purchase things. It's sort of like wealth in Suede, which I like. I hate dealing with money in games because it bothers me, because I didn't sign up to, RPGs isn't accounting to me. I didn't sign up to, we're not playing QuickBooks, we're not playing Spreadsheet the RPG. So anytime that I can eliminate that from my game, I'm happy to. And players are like, well, can we buy something? Like, you're not. Be quiet.
Wow, that's a little stiff. I feel bad for your players. All of a sudden, I don't want to play this with you anymore.
Oh, no, you'd be cool, because you don't give me a hand.
Chapter 5 is all about casting magic. Tells you about your spell points, what you strap onto this and that. Oh, you got specific spell stunts.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Ooh. And these are pretty sweet, too. Because you can get, lasting spell. If it has a duration beyond instantaneous, it means that once you use this will continue on for some more rounds.
Wow.
And also, too, you get powerful casting, too, which means you can increase the spell power by 1 point.
They break this down into, I see that air arcana is one of the, so you've got air, divination, earth, fate, fire. What else we got here? Healing, heroic, lightning, and power,
shadow, and water.
Okay.
Wood. Yeah, and wood. So we get it. This covers a bunch of different possibilities here. Like the wood arcana, for your novice spells, you get forest blend and Forest blend is you and a number of creatures up to your willpower within 6 yards of you blend into the natural earth surroundings.
Cool. That's so we did. We went over the mage. So you can choose. You don't have to choose an arcana. You can basically choose any one of these spells.
This is what they would call them. These arcanas here are what they would call a magical. You would choose this one as a talent.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And then you get 4. Oh,
that's right.
All right, that's cool too. So I could choose wood, and like you said, I would get forest blend, regrowth, and snaring roots, and awakened tree. Yep. Now, magic point cost is 8, so forest blend is 4, regrowth is 3, Oh, so some of these spells actually do have quite a cost on it.
But that's when you start getting higher up though. But like the novice ones are only like 3 points. So it's not too terrible, and also gives you a target number that you need to hit, which is awesome too. Because that way, or to see it cast. Because I mean, with D&D, it's sometimes hard to pull off magic because you don't know what you're supposed to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know whether or not you need to, somebody needs to, or you need to make a ranged spell attack. This right here spells it out right here that which you want to cast. Your target number is 11.
Yeah.
Knock yourself out.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. The spell requirements tells you that what you need. So you need, Wood Arcana Journeyman for ensnaring. It's an attack. It costs 8 magic points. Its casting time is a major action, so that's you know that. The target number is 11. That's what you got to beat to succeed. Yep. And then if you're doing a test with ensnaring roots, you can use your dexterity acrobatics versus spell power.
Yep. To resist it.
Okay, that's pretty slick. I like that. And now Chapter 6 is all about stunts. I'm down with the stunts. I really enjoy the stunts. I see that they've broken stunts down into some... There's role-playing stunts. There's exploration stunts. So, yeah, I guess depending on what you're doing...
Yep. There's combat stunts. So they put the combat stunts there in the beginning. But, yeah, you have exploration stunts and role-playing. Like, these are, like, social ones.
All right.
If you're in a social situation, you can sway the crowd. Your interpersonal... efforts are so effective that they spill over to others in the area. You affect one additional person of your choice past the original target. So you're trying to persuade persuade this king to let you into the cavern the dragon lives, and he's like, I don't want you to do this, and you do this so well that maybe you can influence his partner too. Maybe the queen's like, yeah, go ahead and let him go fight the dragon. I don't know. I'm making up shit. Nice.
What's in the GameMaster section?
The GameMaster section is pretty nice, but the first part I'm just going to tell you right now, the first chapter, you can skip over it because it tells you how to run a game. And you've been running a game since before I started, I don't know, since before I had pubic hair or something. I don't know.
You don't have pubes right now. What do you mean?
No, I know. That's what I know. I got a problem down there. We can't figure it out. But this is pretty much, it tells you how to run it. And that's why I said this is pretty cool for somebody who's never played a game before or anything. That this kind of tells you, how to be a GM or some things that you want to go into, like how to run a game session. Now, the good thing about it, though, it doesn't force you to play the game a certain way. You know what I mean? It doesn't tell you like, okay, this fun is bad, this fun is wrong or anything. It just tells you is like, if something's going wrong, just take a break. Take a step back and or something. But it's very instructional, but not preachy, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the entirety of Chapter 7 is basically like a GM's sort of toolkit for how to be a game master and stuff like that.
Correct. In fact, it shows you like it's pretty neat. It shows you like the problem player types: the thespian, the griefer, the hack and slasher, the hanger on, the motivator, and the rules lawyer. I have all of these problem players. Oh yeah, the spotlight hog and the wallflower. In fact, I have 3 of them all tied up and run.
Wow.
Actually, my players are great. I just I just think it's funny. My players are horrible. No, they're actually really. I'd make a joke out of it.
Your players, they're gonna show up and they're gonna like tag team kick the crap out of you, I think.
They are. I'm expecting it. Especially one's my sister, and one's my 7 foot tall nephew.
Oh, yeah, Big Matt.
But yeah, this is what it goes into. It tells you like the different types of fantasy. I want to run like a swashbuckling adventure, which I know that's your jam. Low fantasy, I know that's more the Conan, the Beast and Barbarians, that sort of thing. You can do the high fantasy standard, that's traditional fantasy, and also too there's if you want to do a horror set, it kind of lays out how you want to do that too. But it's got some GM do's and don'ts, which is all pretty nice. And then it goes on to mastering the rules, which is kind of like the advanced section. Like if you want to figure out some other stuff to do in the game, like handling hazard, advanced tests, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Advanced test. That's sort of like an extended test, and almost in some ways it's a little bit like a dramatic task in Savage Worlds, where you have to have a score a certain success threshold, and how that's done is, let's say we're rolling this advanced test, and the threshold that you have to meet this is when you start pulling. This is when you start tallying the stuff on the stunt die, because the result on the stunt die is going to be, and this is when it doesn't matter if it's doubles or not, because the stunt die is what's going to tell you whether or not how successful you're going to be. So if you rolled, that's what it is, and whatever is on the stunt die, you're going to add that to your success threshold, and once you meet it, then you test. So that's how you do, like, you know, like you want to defuse a bomb or something like that. That's how you would do it, you know, in that sort of sense.
Nice.
You know.
Chapter 8 is all about mastering the rules. So this section kind of goes into a bit of detail, like when to use certain skills or when to use certain things like opposed tests or advanced tests. There's certain
handling
things,
hazards.
Yeah, hazards come up in here. When to there's roll modifiers for rain, mist, smoke, that kind of stuff is in this section. How to handle the hazards. So this is another, like, kind of a nice section for putting stuff together, pit traps and things like that, hazards and whatnot, and how they can affect certain things. Okay, so that's pretty neat.
What I like too.
Go ahead.
It sort of gives it gives a generic. It gives hazard categories. It gives like a generic set of, like, how bad do you want this hazard to be? Okay, if it's just a minor hazard, it's just going to cause 1d6 worth of damage, you know, or it's going to be a harrowing hazard. No, it's going to cause 5d6 worth of damage, and it breaks like little sort of elements, like crossing a creek, you know, crossing a slippery creek, you know, might be a minor hazard where you might slip and, you know, hurt your ankle or something. That's a 1d6. A burning building is probably a 3 or 4, you know, 4d6, where you got stuff that's going to fall on top of you. You got smoke you got to worry about. You got fire you got to worry about, you know. So I think that's kind of cool, where it just breaks down. It doesn't give you specific hazards. It gives you categories that lets you be able to break that down however you want to.
Yeah, no, I like how that's put together. So one of the things that it says here is, like, you can actually do things to mitigate damage. Like, this is where the saving throws come in. You could make, it says the PC falling from a tower, for example, could be given a chance to make a TN, target number 15 dexterity acrobatics test, to half the damage. So that's cool that they don't have specific rules in there. Like, saving throws aren't really a specific thing. But, you know, if the hazard is a major hazard, like falling from the tower, it throws into the major hazard category. TN 15 acrobatics dexterity, make your roll. You win, I roll the damage, it gets halved. That's pretty slick. I like that. That's kind of easy. Chapter 9 is adversaries. So this is, I guess, a whole section on how to make adversaries for your people.
It's already got them. You can either make them or you can pick from them.
Now, how many are in here? Is this quite an extensive section? Because we're like 107 into it.
I'm going to tell you right now, it's pretty extensive.
All right, that's cool.
I'm saying it's 20 pages.
Well, good stuff. I like that.
It's 20 pages, and also, too, it shows you, also, what's cool about this, too, is it shows you how to beef up or dumb down adversaries. If you want to make them wild cards, so to speak, or they call them elites in here. They call them elites. It shows you how to make an adversary, and also, too, it shows you how to make, if you want to make somebody a mook, so to speak. Just tell them, like, if they hit the target number, you know, if they hit the target number, and they can go down just like a mook does in Savage Worlds. But if you want to make somebody a little more, you know, add +1 of these abilities, add 2 focuses, and increase their health. You know,
that's very slick. So you've got adversaries like your typical bandit, mercenaries, robbers, and thugs fall into that. Yep.
You got a demon soldier, which that's pretty nice. And also, too, if you look, what's really neat above it is it gives sort of like a generic title. Mercenary, there's an AKA title. You know, mercenaries, robbers, thugs. You can use this for a generic. Demon soldiers, these could be infernal creatures. These could be devils. They got a dragon on page 106, and but you can call that a drake or a worm. It's sort of like, you can, you know, here's a giant, man. You can call that guy a Gary or a Sasquatch or something.
Wow. The giant spider, which is pretty cool. Cave spiders, deep crawlers, that kind of stuff. You've got your standard goblins, golems, manticores, Medusas. What else we got in here? Ogres, orcs. So there is quite a few in this book here. There's 20 pages of critters. The Walking Dead, man, that is wicked artwork.
I was just about to say, like, turn to that, like, that guy's face is half decomposed and he looks gnarly. That looks like a zombie. Zombies don't scare me, but that one kind of
special powers. These get attached to monsters.
Yep, these are monstrous abilities in Savage. If you want to slap these on anybody, special powers, go for it. Blending. The monster can blend into its surroundings. This gives a monster +2 to any dexterity stealth check. Magic resistance. Shadow. Vulnerability. This isn't power so much as a special weakness. Like, you can have the guy you can pretty much make a monster, vulnerable to anything. But if you slap this one thing on him, like maybe he's invulnerable, maybe he's, diamonds or something, there you go.
Oh, that's very cool. So yeah, the monster section seems to be sort of really well rounded out inside of Age. You got some things that you can do to buff them up and to dumb them down, which is pretty cool. And then Chapter 10 is all about rewards, how to hand out experience points, gear, that kind of stuff, treasure, bonus XP, magic items.
Yep. That sort of thing too. Like reputation is sort of a big element in the Age system, where if you're known for doing something, reputation can be a reward. Sort of like you can on a rift. Like let's say you saved the town of Sandpoint. You might be known as the hero of Sandpoint. Reputation will carry on, move on to another town or something. People might shower you with gold or shower you with garbage. It just depends.
It depends on your reputation.
Right.
So there are some magic items in here, which is very cool. So you got a little bit of a little bit of a magic item sort of repository, rogue's purse, magister's staff, scrying stone, that kind of stuff. There's different things in here. That's cool. Yeah,
you get your little single use items. It'll show you. It even gives you a little template on how to make a magic items. And I know that Eric Lamoureux somewhere, if he's sleeping, I know he just woke up in a cold sweat. He's ready to kill somebody.
Somewhere in the world, somebody's talking about magic items.
Yep. And his eye rams open.
All right. And then to round it off, we've got Chapter 11, the campaign setting. Now, modules, adventures, that kind of stuff. How much stuff have we got? You were saying not much?
Not much for Modern Age because it just came out last year, but this one came out in 2015, so there's starting to be a whole bunch of stuff that's coming out for it. What they've done so far is what the Age system has done with Fantasy Age is they've done something called they released something called Encounters, which is sort of like a plot point campaign, or maybe it's a series of one shots. So there's a handful of these encounters that are out too. Modern Age there's not a whole lot for, but there seems to be a lot more for Fantasy Age and also Dragon Age too. Because Dragon Age, if you think about it like this, Dragon Age is sort of like it's a fantasy setting that's already been established, where Fantasy Age is sort of like a generic fantasy setting that you can make your own.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So is there it says Green Ronin something Freeport. What is the Freeport setting?
Yeah, Freeport. They let me see here. I want to say that they this is the old this is Green Ronin, the old Freeport setting that they've used for the old D20 system. In fact, Green Ronin did this. They did this originally for Dungeons and Dragons and for Pathfinder, the Freeport system, and now it's their own like little fantasy setting. So in fact, Matt Stark was talking about wanting to run something Freeport setting wise. So it's sort of like a fantasy sort of like a fantasy city setting, kind of like maybe I'm talking on my ass here, like Lankmar or something, where it all takes place in like this port city, with pirates and all this kind of cool stuff in there too.
I get the feeling. There's a section here that says using a pre-built setting, so it tells you how to go through that, how to adapt things to Fantasy Age, and then Freeport is Green Ronin's Freeport setting is an example of both of these styles. Freeport's a city setting that mixes classic fantasy elements with piracy and Lovecraftian horror. So then it goes on about the D20 system, like you said, and the books that link to it or whatever. The city. 2015, a new source book called Freeport, The City of Adventure was published and brought back to its D20 roots by pairing it with Pathfinder. All right, cool. So there's a little bit of stuff in here that says how to, this tells you how to build your own setting. Create your own setting, making worlds, collaborative world building, mix and match. We're 120 some odd pages into it. Good rules of world building. I like this. Steal from the best.
That's what I do every day, all day, every day.
That's fantastic.
So this is why it sort of appealed to me in the sense too, because honestly, I want to teach some of my players how to GM, and I don't think I can do it with Savage Worlds. I think I need to start with something that it kind of breaks down, and that's not a knock against Savage Worlds. I think that's more a knock against me. I think I need a system that kind of outlines everything in total for me to teach people how to GM, so that way they can read the book, and it's whatever I don't elaborate on, the book can kind of do it for me.
Yeah. Chapter 12, Adventure in High Falls Swale. Did you read this? Is this an adventure?
No, I haven't read this adventure because, like I said, I've been looking mainly at the Modern Age stuff. But this is something I definitely would want to take a look at, because this looks to be a sizable adventure.
Yeah, I was just wondering if that's what it is. If this whole chapter 12 has... Oh, yeah.
That's all it is.
So you got 15 pages at the end of the book that has different scenes. So there's a couple of little adventures and stuff in here. Scene 3, Night Adventures. All right. Part 2, there's a couple of parts to this thing. So this is a half decent looking adventure. And then we're at page 145. You get down to the glossary, and that's it for the book.
Yep.
All right.
They're not super big. I mean, and they just have just enough information on there. And also too, but also too, I guess just with anything, they want to make money too. So they're going to, they got a companion book, and also they just released a campaign builders book too. So if you want some more info on how to build a campaign within the Fantasy Age system, that's a good toolbook for you. And also too, they also come up with what I've noticed on Drive Thru RPGs. They also have these little bestiary, like more enemies. They throw out like little PDFs, like Draugr. You want to fight those guys? They got those in there. They got some other folks too. I want to say I don't know, like maybe more serpent people or something like that. But there's some pretty cool other bestiaries little side bestiary things that you can buy too.
So the adventure that you're going to run for your group is going to be in Modern Age?
Yeah, it's going to be in Modern Age.
And what is Modern Age? Is that like the time we're in right now, or is it like sci-fi futuristic?
Modern Age can be all of that. Modern Age in fact, in the book, it goes all the way back to roughly the 1700s. In fact, it talks about if you want to run pirate setting or whatever, like a Buccaneer type setting, you can do all that all the way up to the future. Oh,
okay. That's interesting.
And so Modern Age, and also it deals a lot. Also, you get into a little more social aspect too, because I guess they kind of like it deals with like a lot of investigation and stuff like that too. If you want to run investigative type adventure.
Okay, well, we are 2 hours and 20 minutes into this. I might splice this into 2 separate podcasts because I like to keep these shows about an hour long, but we had a lot of stuff to talk about. Outro and contact info. That's where we're going. That's it for this edition of the Murder Hobo Show. We hope you enjoyed it and the new changes to the show. If you didn't, we don't care. If you did, you can reach us at themurderhoboshow@gmail.com. And if you didn't, we have a special email where we prioritize your mail at writeinthebin@hotmail.com. You can also get us on Twitter at Murder Hobo Show. Or where can we find you, Uncle Jay?
You can usually find me hanging out on MeWe over there on the Nerds International group. Just find me there under Uncle J Raz. I'm the guy with the Martian Manhunter avatar because I don't want you guys to know what I look like.
I think you're doing the world a favor, my main man.
I think so too. Okay, links to the things we talked about can be found on the show notes at murderhobo.podbean.com. And Gary's going to start posting them to MeWe as well. I might start posting them to MeWe if Gary lets me. I don't know how much permission he's going to give me. But also, you can find all of us here, great nerds over at Nerds International. You can find all the great shows over there on MeWe as well. You can listen to such classics as the Wild Eye Podcast, which you are a co-host of.
I feel like that's sort of me promoting my own other show kind of a thing.
Right. All right, let's talk about Finding the Narrative. It's our buddies over there, our Genesis buddies.
Are they? Are they?
Are they, though? I don't know, man.
That's
it's dubious
I want to
know. I don't know. I'm going to ask them, like, are we cool Finding the Narrative? I know one of you guys is cool. I'll let you guys figure that one out, who it is. Wow. That's all I'm going to say.
That's a little stiff. Well, there's 3 of them now.
No, there's 3 of them. But
33.3% chance of being the cool guy.
That it might be... Right. No, actually, I love all of those guys over there. They're great. They're great guys. They're very entertaining too, and also the fact that they got Steven Dragonspawn's partnered up with them over there, and he's always a fascinating cat to listen to.
Mm-hmm. Good old Steve. All right,
Steve.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening. Be sure to tune in next time. We're going to have another action-packed show where we will talk about things we know little to nothing about and sound professional doing it. Have a great gaming weekend. We're out of here. Say goodbye, Uncle Jay.
Adios, folks.
Nice. The Murder Hobo Show is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned on this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are on property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of the Murder Hobo Show, copyright 2019. All rights reserved.